Hey there, how you doing? This is Chris, Unreal Engine teaching kind of person and also developer of the Outer Islands and some other stuff. Anyway, I am here to go over some Q files, and we are going to be making basically some audio for an area, and I'm going to show you how it's done. Now, the first thing I need is I need some audio files. Now, what I've done is I've taken the liberty of having some audio files, so here's some here. See those? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag those across. So I need to make myself a folder for this. Now I'm going to go into this audio folder here. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it L2 ambient because I'm currently working inside of the level 2 area. And I'm just going to grab, okay, so what I've done is I've just grabbed this lot here. So grab and drag. There we go. And that's it. So these are now loaded in. I've got ambient machine computer noises, industrial noises, nature sounds, plumbing sounds. Okay, 4 different things I need because of the various different areas I've got inside of this level. So with them all selected, just Control A, Control S, just to save them. That way, if anything goes horribly wrong, I'll still have access to them. And the first thing I want to do is I want to start thinking about what kind of noises I'm going to need inside of my game. So let's start off with something relatively easy. Okay, so up here I've got an old-fashioned push-button interface computer kind of system thing, right? So I'm not going to need very much nature, but I am going to need things like computer noises and things like that. So if I bring this back in, I've got this ambient machine computer here, very, very loud. You can't hear it, for which you need to be very thankful. Okay, it's really, really loud. But what I'm going to do is I am going to create a Q file. So for this, I'm going to right click, go to audio and create a sound cue. And I'm going to call this Q underscore. That way I've got some naming convention going on here. Foreman's room ambient. Okay, so now I know exactly what this is going to be. And I can just double click it and open it up like so. Okay, now it's kind of important, I think, that you can probably hear what it's doing too. So let's pause a second. Right, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit, but now you can hear the audio, okay? It's a lot of noise going on there. So we've got 4 different, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 4 different computer ambiences here. Okay, so I'm going to grab all 4 of these and drag them in, like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a random selector, and the random selector is going to choose between these. So to make it nice and easy, I've got random over here. I'll just drag it in, and you'll notice that because I had these 4 selected, when I dragged in random, the random is automatically picked up on these. Okay, so that's done. Fab. Now, the next thing I need to do is I want to go down here. I'm not going to click looping at the minute. I just want to have a look at these values, make sure they're all okay. They are, so that's cool. So I'm going to add a looping after this, and that way this entire block will loop. So pop this in here. There we go, and grab looping. So now I've got a looping block here, okay, and I'll put vintage computer sounds. Okay, I'll move this over to here so you can see the whole window. So that's my vintage computer sounds. Now then, for the other noise, I don't want any nature, but I do want some sort of industrial machine noises going on. So I'm going to grab these 4 here, okay, and just drag them in. Now then, for these 4 machine noises, I'm going to do the same again. So I've got them all selected. I'll just quickly drag in a random. There we go, and I'll drag in a looping. And I'll connect the looping up to the random. Perfect. Okay, so I'll highlight them all, hit C, and I'll just call this machine sounds. There we go, machine and ambient sounds. Now I'm going to mix these 2 together, so I'm going to select both of these. I've just held down Control and click them. I'm going to put in a mixer, drag that in, that'll mix the 2 together. And this is going to sound terrible at first, so let's click play. Brace yourself. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. But that's okay, because in the mixer now we can change input volumes. So I'm going to reduce down the sound of the machines considerably, about 0.2. I'll also reduce down the sound of the machines, about 0.35. Not bad. Okay, we get some sounds there that are kind of okay. Now I don't want any water or anything else like that going in, so I'm going to click outside and go to my attenuation settings. And for this I want a small attenuation. So I've already got some nice small attenuation here in my previous project. And attenuation, if I just open it up, this is basically just the attenuation function. So you've got an inner radius of 400, so 4 meters, with a fall off of 3.6, or 36 rather, not 3.6. I'm enabling spatialization, and I'm also, if you look here, the attenuation function at the minute is linear. I might do inverse and see how that sounds actually. So, what I'm going to do now, after I've done that, is just save it, and let's have a look at our key file. So I need to stop this from playing, so I'll just click stop on it, wherever the heck that's gone, there we go. And if I just drag my cue file, which is just here, onto this machine. Okay, so the idea is now that as we get nearer and nearer to this machine, it's going to, you know, sound louder and louder. So it becomes the focus of where it is we're going, and audio is kind of driving us a bit. Now if we actually stand in the game system, so I'll just quickly unlock this door. There we go, turn locks off. Pardon me, I do have a nasty cold at the moment. And hopefully we should just hear it. Okay, we can hear it now in the background just. If I walk away from it, we start to lose it. Okay, and other sounds will take over, but as we get closer, you'll hear it, and you won't be able to hear me quite as well. I can see the background music's picking up. Excellent. Go in here. There it is there. Okay, so we know that it's working. Okay, so the sound for this is working. Maybe it's a little bit loud though. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop it down a little bit further. So if I just go to the cue file over here, you'll notice my volume multiplier. I'm going to drop that down to maybe 0.45. Okay, so much quieter. And I'm also going to drop the pitch a little bit, like so. There we go. Now I can also do some modulation if I want to. Now if I just drag this in, we just select this modulator and move it into place. What this allows me to do is add some modulation on the two channels coming into the mixer. So I'll just make a copy of both, Control C, Control V, there we go, just to copy it, and I'll pop these into here. And what this will do, it will directly affect the volume and also the pitch going into this. So for both of these, I want to change the pitch to 0.9 to 1 going in, so it's going to be somewhere between there. And the volume, let's just drop it down to 0.9 to a maximum of 1 as well. There we go. So now we have modulation coming in while this loops. So what that means is that the pitch on these will be changing every time the loop changes. So if I right click and play from here, there we go. So it gives us a very different sound. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so that's how we basically go about making ourselves some vocal cues that we can use inside of our game. So again, here you see, this is very simple. We have 8 sounds. Okay, so vintage computer sounds and machine and ambient sounds. We're randomizing a choice on each one here. Now, if you want a bit more overlap on this, I'll show you how to do that as well. We actually have quite a lot of different functions we can use here. One of these is delay. So I'll just drag that in. Here's delay here. And what delay will do is it will allow us to delay playing a sound for a specific amount of time. Now, I can feed delay into this, and what it will do is it will pull the same sound that's being played here, but delay it by, let's say, a minimum of 10 seconds and a maximum of 15 seconds. And I'm going to copy it to the top as well, like so. There we go. Now, what can we do with this? Well, we have modulators, so let's copy both. So I'm copying the top one, putting it here, and the bottom one, here we go, Control C, Control V, and copying it here. So I'll move this into this slot, and this into this slot. So now we've got 4 inputs, and we need to feed all 4 slots into the mixer. There we go, and making sure that the values stay the same, 0.2, 0.35, do it again, 0.2, 0.35. So this one needs to go into the 0.2, we don't want the machines to be too loud, 0.35 for this machine noise, and just save. And now what's going to happen is, when we run this, if I hit play, it'll basically execute a machine ambience sound again in between 10 and 15 seconds and pull it into this delay node as well. And then when it does that, it will then fire it through. There's one, there's one. Okay. Now the only thing we're missing here is the delay is only going to fire the one time. So what we also need to do is ensure that we have a loop in place. So I'm going to grab my loop, Control C, and just drop it down here. And let's just stick a loop between these two. There we go, and then I'll reconnect it to this output. And so now it will continue pulling something out of there and creating the looping ambient noise that we need. There we go, do it again here, like so. And these are small files as well, they're only 30 seconds each. Okay, now I'll relabel this part as the mixer so that we know what every part is, just in case. And down here I'll put a little note on the loop and delay. So delay and loop the second pass, and I'll write it again down here for this one. And now what we've got is an ambient sound for the machines if I press play. So I'll save and play. There we go, and it's going to pull in the second track, and what will happen is, even though the loop isn't perfect, and so normally there'd be a gap, by pulling in the second track to go into the delay and loop second pass, it means that it's going to cover up that gap, so that when the first track ends, this one's already playing, and then it will pull in the track again, and it will keep covering up over itself while we're doing this. So we won't have a break. There we go, you see it just changed the track again. All these noises are continuous. Okay, that's absolutely ideal. So now I'm going to hit stop again, hit save, there we go. And now I've got a nice usable cue for the Foreman's Room ambient, which is already dropped in place and ready to use. Hope you found that useful. I'll try and post some more stuff soon. In the meantime, don't forget to go and check out the Irish Islands if you like detective games or a bit of deduction, or something that doesn't, require you to switch off your brain. And in the meantime, take it easy. Bye bye for now.